Rehabilitation of patient after below knee amputation. The main goal of rehabilitation is to prevent any complications of immobility. Other goals include patient education, conditioning, functional training, and psychological support. Rehabilitation program can be divided into pre-operative period, post-operative period, which is pre-prosthetic stage, community and vocational rehabilitation, lifelong management and follow-up. Coming to the pre-operative period, it involves medical and physical assessment, that is power of crutch muscles, joint mobility, balance reactions in sitting and standing, patient education, functional abilities, discussion about phantom limb pain, and if possible, patient should be placed in a cardiopulmonary conditioning program. Coming to the exercise management, breathing exercise, mainly we will focus to clear lung secretions, and strengthening exercises for shoulder extensors and adductors and elbow extensors and other crutch muscles, hip extensors, abductors and quadriceps. Mobilization for hip extension, knee flexion and extension, transfer from bed to chair and back, wheelchair mobility, stabilization for trunk in sitting and standing. Amputation, surgery and dressing involves surgical residual limb length determination, closure of wound and soft tissue coverage, nerve management, dressing application and limb reconstruction. The residual limb must be surgically constructed to fit the future prosthesis and maintain muscle balance and allow to assume the stressors necessary to meet its new function. An underlying goal of surgical management of patients requiring lower limb amputation is to retain knee joint, gives its contribution to more efficient ambulation with a prosthesis that is requiring less energy expenditure. And in acute post-surgical stage, this phase usually begins immediately post-operatively and continues until the patient is discharged from the acute care hospital. And the goal of this stage are, we have to control pain, optimization of range of motion, strengthen of both lower and upper extremity musculature, promotion of wound healing, phantom limb pain and sensation management, functional mobility training, equipment prescription, and continued patient education and emotional support. Phantom limb pain and sensation. Phantom limb sensation is the sensation that the limb is still present. So the phantom pain include various painful sensations in the body part that is no longer present. Immediate post-operative incidence of phantom pain and phantom sensation has been reported to be 72% and 84% respectively, while the incidence of 6 months post-operatively changes to 67% and 90% respectively. Both phantom pain and sensation are generally localized to the distal part of the missing limb. Persons with phantom limb pain have worse or lower quality of life. Phantom limb pain treatment. And based on the person's level of pain, multiple treatments may be combined. So first, heat application, biofeedback, mainly to reduce muscle tension, relaxation technique, massage of the amputation area, and surgery to remove scar tissue, entangling a nerve, physical therapy, TENS, that is transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation of the stump, neurostimulation techniques such as spinal cord stimulation or deep brain stimulation, and medications we can give such as pain relievers, neuroleptics, anticonvulsants, antidepressants, beta blockers, and sodium channel blockers. Pain complications. Other causes of pain in individuals undergoing lower limb amputation may include neuroma formation. It's a natural repair phenomenon that may occur when a peripheral nerve is transected. So here the pain occurs when the neuroma is situated at the end of the residual limb or at pressure point in the prosthesis. In non-operative local analgesics or corticosteroids can be given. Surgical excision of the neuroma is the treatment of choice. Reflex sympathetic dystrophy, also called complex regional pain syndrome. It includes sensory, autonomic and motor symptoms that mainly occur in the affected extremity. And the main hallmark of this condition is severe, unremitting pain that is out of proportion to the injury, and the early treatment, TENS or sympathetic blocks or pharmacological agents and physical therapy also can be given. And bursitis or tendonitis. It causes aggravating residual limb pain characterized by localized tenderness, mild edema, slight occasional erythema of the overlying skin, increased skin temperature and subcutaneous crepitus. And if tendonitis is present, passive stretching of the involved tendon will cause significant pain. Main intervention, cessation of provocative activities, oral non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs, temporary discontinuation of the prosthesis and rigid immobilization for brief periods, and compression dressings, thermal modalities, and we have to administer corticosteroid. Pre-prosthetic rehabilitation. It involves stump shaping and shrinking, and mainly we have to care for stump desensitization, range of motion and muscle strengthening exercises, progressive functional mobility training without prosthesis, and we can restore locus of control of the patient, and patient education and preparation for prosthetic use. During initial recovery, it is important to restore the individual's locus of control, mainly generally 6 to 8 weeks post-op with the soft dressings and 3 to 6 weeks with use of immediate post-operative prosthesis. And preparatory or training processes may be used to promote residual limb maturation and for use during gait training. And the individuals are vulnerable to losses in strength and range of motion during this period. Immediate post-op dressing made of plaster of Paris. Rigid post-op is useful as advantage: decrease post-op edema, pain, enhances healing. Disadvantage: it is expensive and special training required. And semi-rigid dressing, it is an Unnas dressing, gauze with zinc oxide. Disadvantage: it will loosen easily. And soft dressing, elastic wrap, need frequent reapplication. And shringers, sock-like conical garments of knitted cotton cannot be used until primary healing occurred. Here you can see the stringers, it looks like sock. Here you can see the different type of stringers. So this is a transtibial residual limb wrapping, and you can see the lateral view, anterior view, how it looks, and you can see that long right limb, short right limb, posterior. You can see in different views how they are applying the dressing. Coming to the muscle strength, for transfemoral amputation, hip extensors and abductors are needed. For transtibial amputation, hip extensors and abductors and knee flexors and extensors are needed. And prosthetic training, prosthetic management and training helps to increase wearing time and functional use. And for patients with Ebony amputation and Belonie amputation, using a soft dressing after amputation, a cause for a temporary socket is often fabricated 6 to 8 weeks post-operatively. And ambulation activities with a lower limb prosthesis often begin during weeks 10 to 11 after amputation. The more proximal the amputation, the more energy is demanded from the cardiovascular and pulmonary systems for prosthetic gait. Here you can see the parts in lower limb prosthetic, that is suspension, soft belt you can see to secure it in, and linear, socket, alignment device, shine, and foot or ankle. Here you can see the prosthetic feet, that's a dynamic response feet, and it's a stationary angle flexible endoskeletal, multi-axis foot, single axis foot, and a solid ankle cushioned heel. Here you can see the prosthetic shanks. It's a structural link between prosthetic components, that is first one endoskeletal and second exoskeletal, that is a bony resin. And coming to the prosthetic knees, it's a polycentric knee, stance phase control knee, fluid control, it's hydraulic or pneumatic knee, constant friction knee, variable friction knee, manual locking knee. Suspension systems. Transtibial suspension, it's a gel linear suspension with a locking pin. Transfemoral suspension, transfemoral sockets, transtibial sockets. Gait training, posture, even weight bearing, proprioception with weight shifting, weight transfer in stance. Advanced gait training, stairs, slopes, uneven ground, and on-off floor, crowded environments and public transport. And community integration mainly involves here to resumption of family and community roles, address emotional needs, because the patient will be having a new devices when they are using, they need some support, and developing health hoping strategies, resumption of previous and adapted recreational activities. Coming to the vocational rehabilitation, it involves assessment and training for work activities and assessment for further education, need or job modification on the basis of residual function capacity, and the patient may be able to return their previous line of work in case. So here we have to make the patient to cope up with the situation, and anything alternative measures, anything to be taken, we have to encourage them to take. And the patient may choose the different line of work and dependent on the physical demands of the job, and successful reintegration of amputee, the returns of work should take place gradually. So sometimes some patient may need certain time to join the activities and to cope up with the situation, and we have to minimize the workload, and the clinical staff being available for counseling and consultation. Coming to the follow-up, it includes lifelong prosthetic, functional and medical assessments, psychological support. Patient should be seen for follow-up by one of the team members for at least every 3 months for the first 18 months, with a physical follow-up for every 6 months, and support groups needed. Thank you.